I never thought my life would collapse like this. For 5 years Candy and I had built what I believed was a strong bond. Our marriage wasn't flawless, but I loved her deeply and trusted that she felt the same. We had dreams, big ones. With my new job paying a higher salary, we were even planning a future that included raising children. But something shifted recently and it gnawed at me like an unshakable itch. Started after my camping trip with Jake, my boss. When I came back, Candy felt different. She was detached, distracted, and her patience wore thin. First I told myself she was only stressed. Found something that crushed me. Stain on her underwear with a scent that spoke louder than words. My heart dropped, though I stayed silent. Evidence was too clear. Still, I wasn't ready to confront her. The following day I contacted Ruby Hawkins, a sharp divorce attorney, recommended by a friend. Ruby was direct. "Are you certain she's unfaithful?" I hesitated, my voice shaking. "I'm not sure, but I need to know. And if it's true, I want out." Ruby explained my options and told me to collect proof. If I exposed her infidelity, it would strengthen my case in court. Connected me with Marvin Johnson, a private investigator, and suggested I quietly add a tracker to Candy's phone. She also handed me a recorder to slip into Candy's purse. Invading her privacy felt wrong, but living with doubt felt worse. Soon after, I left for a business trip on the West Coast. That night I called Candy. She sounded overly cheerful and mentioned she had taken a waitressing job at a party Jake was hosting. My mind flashed with alarms. Jake never spoke of a party during our trip, and Candy rarely took side jobs. "It's just some extra money, Tim," she said casually. "With classes coming up, I figured it would help." I pretended to stay calm but immediately informed Marvin, who promised to check it out. By morning his email destroyed me. Candy hadn't only gone to Jake's party. She had stayed the night at his place. Attached were photos that shattered every hope I had left. Candy, my wife of 5 years, tangled in acts with Jake and several other men I once called friends. The images burned into my mind. I couldn't breathe. My hands shook until my phone slipped. But the nightmare grew worse. Marvin's report revealed she hadn't just been with Jake. She had been involved with 10 men, including Jake's own son. Couldn't face her. Not then. Instead, I sat in my hotel room drowning under betrayal. It wasn't just the collapse of my marriage. It was the death of the future I had believed in. Candy and I had met right after college. She was lively, stunning, with a laugh that could brighten any room. I still remember the first time I saw her at a friend's party. She wore a red dress that fit her perfectly, her smile pulling me in like a flame draws a moth. By the end of that night I had asked her out. My surprise, she said yes. Those early years were magical despite hardship. We were broke. She worked retail, I scraped through an entry-level job. But none of it mattered. Friday nights meant cheap pizza and old movies. We dreamed of travel, of buying a home, of raising children. She made even the ordinary feel beautiful. When she agreed to marry me 3 years later, I felt like the luckiest man alive. Now, sitting alone in that hotel room, I realized how blind I had been. I worked endless hours for us, missing nights and weekends, all to build the future we imagined. And while I sacrificed, she was betraying me in the cruelest way. When I returned, I played it calm. Candy greeted me with a kiss and a smile as if nothing had happened. The audacity. "Missed you, babe," she said sweetly. Couldn't bring myself to answer. Told her I needed to unpack instead. Over the next days I moved quietly, gathering evidence. Marvin provided high-definition video files and Ruby built my. 4 days later I was ready. I waited until Candy was home, the house silent. "Hey," I said calmly. "We need to talk." She looked up, surprised but not worried. "Sure, what is it?" Pulled out my tablet and pressed play. Her face drained as the video played. Sounds and images left no room for denial. "I loved you," I said, my voice breaking with fury. "I gave you everything, and this is what you do with Jake." "With them." She tried to speak, but words failed. Tears spilled as she reached for me, but I stepped away. "Don't," I snapped. "Don't you dare touch me." Her sobs grew frantic, her pleas incoherent. Then the front door opened. Her parents stepped in, unaware of the storm. "What's happening?" her mother was alarmed. I didn't wait. I turned the tablet toward them and pressed play again. "Ask your daughter," I said coldly. Candy screamed, lunging to grab it, but I kept it out of reach. Her parents froze, their faces twisted with horror. "You've shamed this family," her mother cried, tears running down. Her father turned away, unable to look at her. Candy collapsed to the floor, weeping. "Tim, please," she begged. "I made a mistake." "No," I said firmly. "You made choices. Again and again." And with that I delivered the final. "Right. I'm filing for divorce. And I'm taking everything that matters." As her parents scolded her, I walked out, leaving her world in pieces. For the first time in days, a strange peace came over me. My old life was gone, but at that moment I knew I was finally free. At the beginning of the end, when I stepped out of that house, leaving Candy to face the chaos she caused, I felt an eerie calm. It wasn't the peace of closure. No, this was something far darker. It struck me that I had finally reached the end of my suffering's beginning. Now it was her turn to face the storm she had recklessly created. But betrayal doesn't just leave wounds. It rips through your life like a raging fire, destroying everything in its way. As I tried to search through the ruins of what we once had, one question haunted me. Why would someone I cared for so deeply, someone I trusted with all of me, betray me in such a cold, deliberate way? Weeks later, the answer came in the most shattering form possible. A meeting at a coffee shop. Candy asked to meet in a neutral place downtown. First I hesitated, but my lawyer Ruby advised me to listen. If nothing else, it could be useful for the divorce. When I walked in, she looked like a stranger. The vibrant woman I once adored was gone. Her seat was someone hollow, worn down by the cost of her decisions. "Tim," she said, voice shaking. "I just want to explain." I leaned back, arms crossed, and waited. "Go on," I replied, my tone sharp. She faltered, her gaze dropping to the coffee-stained table like the answers were hidden there. Finally, she exhaled and spoke. "At first, it wasn't about you," she whispered. "It wasn't even about him." Her words hit me like a train. "Not about me. We were married. Everything should have been about us." She went on. "I was lost. You were always working, always. I know it was for us, for our future, but I felt invisible, like I no longer mattered. So you decided to sleep with Jake," I snapped bitterly. "And half his party guests just to feel seen. That it?" Tears welled in her eyes. But I was unmoved. "It wasn't supposed to go that far," she cried. "At first, it was only Jake. He made me feel wanted, like I was someone again. But then it spiraled out of control. I couldn't stop." Her excuses burned like acid. She had destroyed everything, shattered my trust, and now wanted me to believe it was beyond her control. "Do you even hear Yourself. Asked my voice like steel. Do you realize what you've done to me? To us. Then came her final blow. I thought you didn't love me anymore. She whispered. Jake told me you didn't. That you were just waiting for the right time to leave. That was when I realized Jake wasn't just a deceitful boss. He was a skilled liar. He had poisoned Candy's mind with falsehoods, and she had believed them. But if she thought this revelation would soften me, she was mistaken. Talk lit a fire in me. Jake had crafted this nightmare, and I wouldn't let him walk away untouched. I dug into his life with fury, hiring Marvin, a private investigator, to expose every hidden secret and darkness we found. Jake wasn't only unfaithful, he was reckless. Marvin uncovered shady business deals, a hidden family in another state, and countless affairs. But the ultimate blow, Jake had been stealing company funds to fuel his lifestyle, and I had the proof. I sent everything to the board: photos, videos, financial records. Within 48 hours, Jake was fired. The company launched a deep investigation, leaving him ruined in both money and status. His wife left, taking their kids and half his wealth. The once untouchable man was now disgraced. And to twist the knife, I sent Candy a copy of the decision. I wanted her to see the man she threw everything away for reduced to. She called me crying. You've done enough, Tim, she pleaded. Please just stop. Stop. I replied, voice cold as ice. You didn't stop when you betrayed me. You reap what you sow. The final strike came a week later when Candy appeared at my door, pale and broken. Tim, she said, trembling, I have to tell you something. What now? Bark. She hesitated, eyes brimming. Then she dropped it. I'm pregnant. And I don't know if it's yours or Jake's. The world spun. Pregnant. If it was mine, could I raise a child with her? And if it wasn't? I didn't let her finish. I slammed the door in her face. Justice had been served. The months that followed blurred with legal fights and emotional storms. Ruby pressed for a paternity test. When the baby arrived, the truth surfaced. The child wasn't mine. It was Jake's. Relief flooded me. I had braced for the worst. But now I was free. Completely free. Candy's life only collapsed further. I wanted nothing to do with her, and her parents, ashamed, turned away. She was alone, trapped by her own choices. For me, it was time to move on. For the first time in years, I could breathe. The weight of betrayal and sadness was gone. I focused on rebuilding step by step. And then I met Emily. She was everything. Candy wasn't kind, honest, supportive. She too carried scars from a divorce, and we connected through our shared pain. Slowly we rebuilt trust. The last I heard of Candy, she was stuck in a small apartment, working a hopeless job, struggling to raise Jake's child. Do I pity her? Perhaps a little. Mostly I feel nothing. She became just a chapter in my past, one I closed forever. And for the first time in years I felt whole again. That was enough.